My chicken is in my soil blocking station. All of the hens, they've all been fighting over that spot since 6 a.m. I know, the rooster's coming. They have nesting boxes. I don't know why they are so obsessed with this particular bin. I'm sorry, go back to your nesting box, honey. I mean, he's upset. Now my chickens are just eyeing me from all ends like, y'all, you got a chicken coop and it's nice and clean. Why do you always have to, they try to go in my soil blocking bin, and then they also try to lay eggs in that little raised bed that I just have on the porch. Anyways, before we start with starting the actual seeds and I start going over the seeds that I have purchased, which I'm really excited about, I need to rehydrate my soil blocking mix. Now, I made this a few months ago and I'll rehydrate it just with water, and then it just dries out and I rehydrate it again. It has gone a long way. This mix is composed mostly of worm castings, perlite, coconut coir, and a little bit of organic seed starting soil. So I will include all of the recipe and everything down below, and some of the products that I bought. But if you want to do soil blocking and you don't want to buy, you know, perlite and coconut coir and things like that, you don't have to. You can use regular seed starting soil and just get it like appropriately hydrated. That is at your discretion. However, the seeds will respond very well to this particular recipe because there is a lot of really essential nutrients in it. Now, the key to soil blocking is knowing the right level of hydration for your soil. I am certainly not an expert level soil blocker. There are a lot of people on here who are much more experienced with soil blocking. However, this is the first season I have given it. I'm trying to make it so this hose goes from like the shooting mode to like the mist mode. But this is the first year I've ever soil blocked, and I can say it's very, very easy. You do not have to be an expert to take on soil blocking as opposed to like your traditional seed starting trays or anything like that. When you are hydrating your soil blocking, you're looking for a brownie batter type consistency. One of my kids' toys made it in the soil block. You'll want it to pool a little bit, where some water will kind of pool to the side. When you squeeze, it will still form into a ball or a solid form. Okay. Please excuse my chickens. They've just lost their minds today. If you are new to soil blocking, don't let it intimidate you, because it was intimidating to me. It's just as simple as figuring out, once you get started with soil blocking and just kind of work through any of the intimidating feelings, you are not going to want to go back. You're going to be like, I don't want these little plastic thingies all over the place, cracking every year. And it's a mess. Like, where do you store all that? Now all I have to do is just store my seed starting trays and stack them, instead of storing like 1,000 of those little seed starting cubes. When I started out my soil blocking journey, I knew that I wanted to get the best quality soil blocker, because there's a whole bunch on Amazon and they're not all created equal. So I got this one. It's the Ladbroke soil blocker, and this is what a lot of the really seasoned soil blocking gardeners I've seen, they use this one. No complaints at all. The size I got is the 1 inch by 1 inch. So this is perfect for starting most seeds, and it'll give you a little bit of time to prepare for the next step. So your starts are going to be happy in this dimension for a good amount of time. So you just squish it in here really tightly, and once it's as like packed in as possible, you see if you can see that. You just put the soil blocker in your designated seed starting tray, and this is my seed starting tray. And then you open it up and you've got yourself some beautiful little soil blocks. See, there's a perfect little divot for each block. I have 4 trays here today. I can't remember how many each tray holds. I'll know here in just a minute. But my goal is to start 40 different tomato starts, with the hopes to have 30 of them being healthy enough to transplant out in just a few weeks. I also hope to start around 30 different pepper plants, because I have a big variety of pepper seeds that I've been attempting to get started, but it just hasn't worked out this year. My pepper bed, what I hoped to be my pepper bed, I just never got ready in time. So those starts just kind of died off, unfortunately. And then my second round of attempting to start a pepper garden, I started all of these starts and everything was perfect and beautiful. I had all these sprouted little peppers, and we went out of town. I figured, oh, they'll be fine here in the garden because typically it rains. And no, there was no rain. It was 100 degrees while we were gone. This was in May, and those little sprouts, they were toast. They were totally done. However, I did have a really good tomato garden, but those tomatoes also succumbed to the heat in May. It was probably close to 3 weeks of 100-degree temperatures, almost like 90, 98, 99. The heat index was even hotter than 100 degrees without rain. So that did not make for a good recipe to have these plants thrive for a longer period of time. I've never experienced a month in May that was that hot. That's typically what we'll experience in July, but July will rain a lot. So there was no relief from the rain or anything like that. And my oscillating sprinklers can only do so much. And that's why most of my garden just kind of, it just had it before it was all said and done. This round is for early fall harvest, hopefully going into September when the temperatures are cooler. They'll start setting fruits. That's what my hope is. And then we'll have a really decent harvest, because I have around 300 to, I don't know, I think it's around 300 pounds of tomatoes, and I will weigh them all out so you guys can see that with me, in my deep freezer that I'm going to make marinara sauce with. And my next round of tomatoes, I'm going to focus on making canned salsa and like other canned things like that. Look how beautiful. Done with that. I ended up getting about 2.5 trays worth. So each tray does hold 30 soil blocks, and then I'm gonna have enough for my eggplants and a few other things here and there that I'm wanting to start right now. Let me get this cleaned off, and then we're gonna get these seeds sown. Before I actually for real get started, count how many varieties I have selected. 1, easy 10. Okay, so I did 40 tomato plants in my tomato garden area, and I will say, and they're about like a 2-foot spacing. I think doing 30 tomato plants for those 4 rows would suit much better. I'm going to try to limit myself to only starting 30 tomato plants and only growing 30 tomato plants. I will talk about the varieties that I picked out as I am sowing these seeds. Amish paste, I've never grown the Amish paste. I've seen a lot of really good stuff about the Amish making tomato sauce, so I figure they know what's up. So let's plant the variety they grow. This is also an indeterminate variety, and the reason I'm being careful to say whether it's indeterminate or determinate is because this year I want to put all of my indeterminate varieties in a certain, or this particular season, I want to put all of my indeterminate and determinate tomatoes in one designated area. I had a few of them kind of like intertwined and mixed up last time, so I didn't know what was indeterminate and what was determinate, if that makes any sense. This is the Cherokee Purple. It's an indeterminate variety as well. I asked you guys which varieties I should grow this next time around, and a lot of you said the Cherokee Purple. I've grown Cherokee Purple before. It's a really awesome like beefsteak hearty variety for sandwiches. This is the yellow plum. I'm doing 3 of the yellow plum. It's like a cherry tomato type variety. This is the Tiffin Mennonite variety. I picked it because it said it was a Brandywine variety tomato with that potato leaf, and I figure I've never grown it before and it just looked really interesting, so I am growing a few larger varieties. So I'm going to do these 3. So I'm only going to do 2 of the yellow stuffer tomatoes, which I've always wanted to grow these stuffer ones. They remind me almost of like a bell pepper, and I always love seeing those recipes where they're like filled with all this goodness like cream cheese and chicken and things like that. It just sounds really delicious to me. And I've tried to grow the stuffer tomatoes in the past. I just haven't had any luck on it yet. The orange currant. The reason I picked this one out is because it looked similar to my beloved spoon tomatoes. I wanted to try something different. I'm only going to start 2 of these as well because I don't like having a whole lot of, yeah, these seeds are so tiny. I don't like having a whole bunch of the really tiny ones because they're harder to harvest and I don't want things to go to waste. These ones barely need to be covered with soil. And all I do is I shove the popsicle stick in like the front of the soil block so that it sticks there without actually destroying the soil block. It requires like a little bit of finesse. So we're at the gold medal tomato. This one just looked like a really interesting kind of yellow variety. I love the pineapple tomato, so I figure maybe this tricolor one is just as good as the pineapple. We'll see which one's better. I'm starting to hear some stuff go on in the clouds, so I hope there's not like a thunderstorm that's rolling in right now. Next is the pineapple tomato. I absolutely love this one. It's a really great all-around beefsteak variety. I always grow the San Marzano tomatoes. I've had really good luck with the San Marzanos. I know a few of you have commented that you have some just not the best luck with the San Marzanos. I always recommend grow whatever is responding well in your garden. It could work for someone else, but it just won't for others, which is why you should always be experimenting with new varieties every season. Add at least like 1 or 2 new varieties, because you never know what kind of tomato option or pepper or anything like that would respond best to your climate and your individual yard. San Marzanos are the famous Italian tomato varieties for saucing. They're beautiful, very easy to harvest. They're super easy to work with. I'm going to start 5 of these. The Sheboygan tomato, I haven't grown this variety before. This is a new one from M.I. Gardner. This originated from Wisconsin by immigrants in the early 1900s. It's become a favorite paste tomato for generations. So it just looked really cool to me. It kind of looks like a cross between the Korean long and the San Marzano. And I'm always looking to try new paste tomato varieties. Now, just like that, all of our tomatoes are sown in their happy little soil blocks. Let's do the peppers. It just went from sunny and nice to like a windstorm outside. A storm is a brewing. I'm gonna have to go inside and come back out probably. Okay. All right, I can hear it. I can hear the thunder. I'm going. I am back at the later half of the day. I had to wait till the storm passed and all of that. And now it's actually quite nice outside. So we are getting started on planting some peppercini peppers. I really, really hope that out of all the peppers I grow this year for the fall would be a few peppercini peppers, because I want to pickle them. I just love pepperoncinis. I feel like they're so versatile. I would just love like a really budding and healthy pepper garden. So y'all gotta hold me to it. Hold me accountable and make sure I get this pepper garden going this time. This is the third time is the charm. I've got the Tabasco peppers, which of course are famous from the Tabasco pepper sauce. Now, I watched a video recently on how Tabasco sauce is made. I didn't realize it's like a long ferment, like years or months fermentation. They do it in these whiskey barrels. It's always risking exploding because of the fermentation, the gases and things like that. It's really cool. I think I watched it on Business Insider, but that was really interesting to see how Tabasco sauce was made. It gave me more of an appreciation for the sauce, and then also recognize that fermenting your hot sauce would be an excellent thing to do as opposed to just making straight up hot sauce, because it really adds to that dynamic flavor. And they're really, really picky about the peppers that they use in their recipes. We have the shishito peppers, which are really great snacking peppers. This I would eat all the time. So I'm hoping I get at least 3 shishito pepper plants out of this. Corno di Toro peppers. Now, I picked these out originally because they were ideal for Italian sweet grilling peppers, which to me says that you can incorporate them in a lot of different recipes. Cubanelle peppers are similar in that way, where they're not super hot peppers. They're Italian frying peppers. So I'm going to do 3 Cubanelle pepper plants this time. May I say, I typically get germination. That has not been the issue this year. Germinating them is no problem. It's so hot here. I keep the soil moist because I know a lot of people really have a big struggle with germinating pepper seeds. I have found a fresh seed, not an old seed, and typically I think, seeds can be on the older side and they'll still germinate. The 2 crops that I have found, for me personally, that are a little bit sensitive to age are peppers, and certainly carrot seeds are definitely sensitive to being old, quote unquote. So if your seeds are not germinating, your pepper seeds, it's probably time to get a new seed pack or just harvest new seeds from a pepper from the store. Serrano, I feel like, is just like a, like a spicy, like a smoky jalapeno knockoff, honestly. Let's see. Okay, poblano peppers. I've said this. This is one of my favorite peppers. I love the complex flavor of a poblano pepper, as well as the fact that they're larger, so you can stuff them. Of course, that's what most people do with poblano peppers. I love how with the soil blocks, once you get it all prepared, you're just rolling. And the seed sowing is so quick and easy because all those little holes are just right in there. There's really nothing else to think about. This is the large jalapeno. I'm going to do just 2 of the large jalapeno because I really want to do tam jalapenos. And I hope I'm not going to start getting bit by mosquitoes out here. It's like the mosquito time of night. Doing 3 tam jalapenos. Tam jalapeno, from what I have read, they are a less spicy version of a jalapeno pepper. So they're supposed to be like the exact same type of flavor index and all of that, but they are not as spicy. I had a just knock it out of the park banana pepper harvest last year. I had, I think, 4 banana pepper plants that were just producing out of control. I was so excited. I don't think I've ever had that successful of a pepper harvest in my life, let alone a sweet pepper. Whenever I have a really good success with a particular crop, I think I said this earlier in this video, that tells me that crop responds well to my individual little garden ecosystem I'm creating. There are things that I can grow really well in my yard that my mom can't grow, and she's a big gardener, and things that she can grow with no problem that I can't grow. And we both live in Florida. So it really comes down to the environment that you have created. And I know that banana peppers respond very well to my property. Now I'm going to get these covered gently. I would just hide them under somewhere that's shaded and try to germinate them outside. Don't introduce them to the light until they have started to actually sprout, because then you're just gonna like dry out all of your soil, and that's gonna make things more complicated for you. Today I'm just doing the long purple, and I have Black Beauty seeds as well, which is more of like your standard globe eggplant. I figured that the long purple would be a good place to start, just because it's like a good frying pepper or a good frying eggplant. In a few short weeks, these 60 seeds are going to transform like magic into hundreds of pounds. Well, not short, a few short weeks, in a few short months, into hundreds of pounds of fresh organic produce. I'm so excited. I cannot wait for another budding tomato garden, and probably the biggest pepper garden I've ever had in my life. Figuring out what to do to preserve those. I have a lot of really cool stuff coming up. I'm going to be making all of my sauce coming up here pretty soon. So if you don't want to miss out on everything I have planned, definitely hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching, hanging out with me, and until next time, bye.